There we go. Here it comes. In the day. Normally I do it at night, but to accommodate my guest, I decided, hey, you want to do it in the morning or right around lunchtime?
I'm a morning guy.
You're This is how I know times have changed back in the day. And I got to preface this by saying we all grow, we all change. But back in the 90s, yeah, there were many times that Robby Takac of the Goo Goo Dolls and I and John Resnick raged heavily.
Yeah, I wasn't a morning guy so much.
No. You weren't even close to a morning guy.
Yeah, maybe from the other side I was, but
but it's amazing now because, you know, this is how life changes. Proud family man, record executive, founding member of the Goo Goo Dolls on top of everything else and a lot of other things that I will bring out. And I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for doing this, brother.
Absolutely. It's great to be here, dude.
Absolutely. Great timing, too. Ethan is our engineer. Ethan, I want you to get out one of the photos right now if you want to scroll up, because this just came out a couple of days ago. It is photo number 3, I believe, and it is live at the Academy. From 1995, this is now available through digital downloads and other sources. What's interesting about this is that I've been reminded by one of my former coworkers at radio station FM 106.3 WHTG, where we were big supporters of the Goo Goo Dolls. And apparently I was at this show. And I was like, what? I was? This is where you sit there and go, this is embarrassing. I don't know if I remember I was there or not. And I know Matt Pinfield was definitely there. Yeah, Vinny Marino, who was working at Q1043 in New York at that point, he was there. I think Jerry Rubino, who was working, I think, for CMJ at that point, he was. So there's a lot of connections of people that we both know that were at this show. And the great thing about this show was this was sort of this precipice of when everything was about to change for you guys.
Yeah, like we spent 10 years as critics' darlings, really.
Yes.
You know, and not a lot of people other than, you know, people in the college music sphere really knew about us. And, you know, Name was starting to get played on the radio, and we did a video for that. And we had done a song, excuse me, on the record prior with Paul Westerberg helped us write some words for it.
Oh yeah, We Are the Normal. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was that got played a little bit. So so we started to get some play. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, the precipice was sort of like I guess the best way to explain it is, you know, like we started to be associated with radio stations that really kind of were never part of what we did.
No, that's an accurate statement at that point. Absolutely.
And they were playing Name, and so we would get to play like their lunchtime with whatever station, with the Mix or whatever station it was.
Right, whatever the station. Yeah, exactly.
And so we'd set up and we'd play, and of course we'd have to save Name till last, you know, because otherwise everyone, you know, would leave. So right. Yeah, because it was the only song anybody knew. So we used to play maybe like 40 minutes, 35 minutes at these things, and we would just nail people against the back wall for about 30 minutes. And they'd just stand there in shock. and then we play Name for them, and it was over, you know? And that's how it went for about a year there, until people, a couple of years, until people kind of got an idea of what sort of band we were, and, you know, our history and that kind of stuff. And at that point, you know, we had a little bit more awareness about what the band was, as opposed to, you know, just people knowing Name and not much else. So.
Two things I'll mention, since you mentioned Superstar Car Wash. Give me photo number 8, because the 30th anniversary of this album was earlier this year. And yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it brings back memories when you see that photo again and kind of go, yeah, we were really proud of that. And you guys were really proud of that record.
Oh, dude, I still love that record, man.
Yeah.
I think that was, like, we had learned how to make records by that point. Like, we figured it out. Like, But I mean, I'm not saying we figured it out, but we knew a lot more than we knew when we were kind of cranking those early records
Right.
out.
And anybody who was a fan of you guys early on, this was sort of the steady progression. That's a key way of putting it. It was like, yeah, we were this garage band. We had moments where we could, and I preface it this way: Name was the monster, but fans of yours knew a song called 2 Days in February, which was, I always thought,
yeah,
well, they had Name in them, because if you listen to 2 Days in February, it's kind of that same thing, little different, but
yeah,
name, you know.
yeah. Those records were all made in a bubble, though. You know,
Yeah.
Armand Petrie, who's a friend of ours, produced a lot of it. You know, we would come in at night, do demos, and just try to kind of, I don't know, figure out what the heck we were doing. You know, and you know, just I don't know, trying to be the loudest, most melodic band we could. You know, we loved bands like Husker Du and you know, The Replacements and Soul Asylum and stuff like that. And we thought we could be louder.
Well said.
And maybe more melodic. I don't know. You know, maybe we became more melodic. I don't know. But yeah, but whatever it is, you know, those were the things we loved. But I think we were still kind of wrestling with the fact that, you know, we wanted to be, you know, the world's a little different back then.
It was, like, no question about it.
Like there was an acceptance from a lot of different types of music. Like you would go see a show and there'd be 4 or 5 different kinds of bands on the bill, and it all seemed to kind of make sense because there were so few people experiencing all this stuff at the same time that you know, it really felt like, even though it wasn't exactly what you were into, it was awesome, and everybody around you was enjoying it, and it was great. And I think things started to kind of splinter a little bit after that.
It did.
Yeah.
I think the best way I can defend your point was when you came by my show, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on this, but this was the second time you had been back at HTG in 4 months. And I'll explain that story in a second, but I got to give this first to explain what Robby's talking about as far as the music goes. You and John come in, and we were talking about this separately before we even started. You guys agreed to be guest DJs as opposed to, well, I just interviewed you guys 4 months ago. What else can we talk about this time? So you come in, took over the show for about an hour. And what you came up with musically was such a hodgepodge. It was beautiful. It was this beautiful mix. And I remember you started with Cheap Trick and went from there. I remember distinctively you started with Cheap Trick. So it defends what you're saying. There is this, you know, great mix that you created. And like you said, it came from so many different levels and genres. But in that hour, you got a real feel what you guys loved musically.
Yeah.
The influences that were on you as a band.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, yeah, you know, I mean, we're just music fans. You know, we're growing up. We're AM radio kids, so we loved, you know, short 3-minute songs that grabbed your brain and your heart. You know, so we spent an awful lot of time. Yeah, we spent an awful lot of time listening to that kind of stuff. And it was funny. I remember one day John was playing a couple. I was over at his house, and he had like a cassette player at his house, and there was something wrong with the cassette player, and it was playing too slow, right? And I remember I was over there, and I remember he was playing these records for me. He's like, wow. He's like, listen to these records. He's like, this Westbrook song, it sounds like Springsteen when you slow it down. And like we're going through and we're listening to all these different songs, and started like slowed down like that, like Echo and the Bunnymen song slowed down. And like as you're listening to them, like they took on kind of this different feel. Anyway,
no, but you're right. It does take a different feel when you do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think, you know, when you take like the idea of like a frenetic band and kind of slow it down a little bit, you kind of start to see what was in there, you know, like, you know, sometimes it's flying by too fast, you know, and I think that's what started to happen around that time, like around Superstar Car Wash and such. We weren't terrified to slow things down, you know. The early records, you know, 80-90% of those records are just breakneck songs, you know. And so, you know, we started to and loud amps, and that's where the power came from, loud amplifiers and screaming and amazingly loud, triggered drums, and and like that kind of thing. And but like little by little you start to realize that there's like power in other places, and yeah, and I think that's, we started to slow down a little bit because we didn't have to play quite so fast, and the grooves kind of changed and got a little bit better. And that was sort of like when we entered phase 2, I guess, of the group. Yeah,
You're setting me up beautifully, because right before you hit phase 2, I had mentioned before that on the Jersey Shore, the Goo Goo Dolls had played 2 shows in 4 months at the Trade Winston Seabright. Now, this is kind of personal, so if you don't want to go here, I totally understand. I asked you the question. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing back here so quickly? And you were going through a lot of label crap at that point. Mm-hmm. And if I remember correctly, tour support had been taken away, if I remember correctly. And you were kind of in this, we're kind of in limbo. Name's not a hit yet, and we're kind of doubling back. And I remember, Rob, I don't know if we're going to have any people here. We were just here 4 months ago. And I said, relax. You're still going to have about 1,000 people. And
for those youngsters out there, tour support is something that labels used to give you many years ago.
Yes,
to go out on the road and promote your record.
Right, and without it,
you won't find that anymore.
No, you won't. But back in the '90s, if you didn't have that, it could shut your tour down.
Yes, absolutely.
So, right. So I understood back then why you were doing it, but. Yeah. When you look back on that time between where you were there, then Name hits, but there's this few months where. Did it feel like you were just in this limbo of like, what are we going to do? I mean,
well, it was longer than that, man, because, we signed a deal with our prior label, and right. So we made no money, a bad deal with them. And we made no money from any of that stuff.
Right.
And we were borrowing it the whole time. We were borrowing money the whole time.
Right. So, yeah, you're borrowing against
to the bill.
You're borrowing against yourselves, and now it's like, hey, we're racking up debt. Shit.
Yeah, it's adding it to the bill and adding it to the bill, and so Name hits, and John and I moved to New York from Buffalo. We moved from and then we get our statement. We still owe like $1 million or something,
that's crazy. You wouldn't think in a million years that you would owe money with that hit.
Yeah. And we were like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And so we moved back to Buffalo, and figured out that things worked a little bit differently than we thought they did. We're not gonna, those castles weren't coming and stuff. So it was time to get back to work again. And I don't think, most bands don't get 2 big songs, but, lo and behold, Iris came, and, we had another big song.
Well, technically you had 3, because you look back on the 90s, Name, Slide, and Iris on many surveys are considered 3 of the biggest songs of the decade. So I would say you had 3 for sure.
Well, I mean, Iris was just the next step. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd even modestly argue we had more than that, like.
Oh, I defend you on it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I think, I think there's really a, I think there's a, like I mentioned before, like things really fragmented, and so we ended up in this format they called like Hot AC. It was called for a while. It's probably still out there now. I don't know. I don't really pay attention.
I think it's redubbed now as what they call Adult Top 40. For you kids out there, Adult Top 40 means these are hit songs geared toward people over the age of 35.
Yeah. But at the time when the, Hot AC,
right.
I mean, between us and Matchbox and a couple other bands, I mean,
Train would be in that category.
Yeah. I mean, we 3, 4, 5 bands ruled that chart for
big time,
years, and so we did really well, in that aspect, during that time, but it's funny, like, we were talking about phases, like obviously, Iris happened and everything changed, that song was, on a soundtrack prior to being on our Dizzy Up the Girl record.
City of Angels,
yeah, and with like U2 and Peter Gabriel and Alanis Morissette.
Alanis, I remember Alanis' song on it.
And and like I've forgotten some of the bigger bands that were on. Like it's
No, you
crazy.
just mentioned you two in the last
Yeah, like I said, Peter Gabriel, Sarah McLachlan.
There
Like,
you go.
there's just so many, man. But we ended up getting a big hit off that record, and then due to the way the contract was written, we were able to release that record on our album. So we released Dizzy Up the Girl with a big hit on it already, which is great, yeah. And then Slide came out shortly after that. And I think maybe even Dizzy might have came out before Slide. I can't remember. We did 5 videos in like the span of about 2.5 months, man. It was crazy. You know what else is nuts? We when Name broke, just to back up a little bit, when Name broke, it got Kevin Weatherly added it in
K-Rock in Los Angeles.
K-Rock in Los
There's a lot of credit for spurring you guys on.
Yeah. And we were in a video studio recording a video for a song called Flat Top at the time. And I remember somebody called and said, we're going to be doing another video in like 3 days. And we're like, why?
Huh?
Because somebody just added this song. We're like, oh, Jesus. We're like, why don't we just do it now?
Exactly.
Just change this song,
You know what? After all these, I don't think I ever asked you that question. What was your feeling about that when Weatherly decides on his own? Because this was not a label decision. Usually labels are saying it should be this song. Kevin Weatherly, who was one of the most influential programmers in the 90s at KROQ in Los Angeles, says, no, we're going to play Name. And so many other stations followed suit. So what was your reaction to that point? Like, what the hell is going on? Probably was the first thing.
Well, when John, from the minute John brought that song, to do demos, we knew it was a special song, Right. We didn't really, but we also felt like it wasn't very representative of what we were as a band.
That's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, it was a little bit difficult for us to like slide into that. Like
no pun
intended. Funny. Like I still feel to this day that, and this may have turned out to be a benefit, but I still feel to this day like that may have been one of the things that made our band a little different than everybody else that was doing what they were doing. And I don't know how it affected our career. I just know I think it did. Like we came screaming into this like a mildly successful, and I'm like mild, like as mild as you can get, like successful group at one thing, at a thing that we were doing. And people were coming to see us play. We could sell out the Metro in Chicago, and have thousands of, have 1,200, 1,500 people be there,
right. And on the East Coast, if you were to come to New York, you could sell at Irving Plaza. You go to Jersey Shore, you can sell at the Stone Pony. Selling out good venues,
Yeah, so like our band, was fairly successful, at that. And so, we really entered this still trying to have some respect for the people that came up with this group. I don't know how else to put it. Like
no, that's a great way to put it. I remember when you did the Stone Pony. Name is now a smash hit. And literally, I had the honor of introducing you guys at least a half a dozen times in about a 2-year period. So I'm on stage introducing you guys. And I say, I know there's a lot of new fans in the audience. And I said, yeah, but there's a lot of these old fans. And the place erupted. You just knew, at least here, the old fans were just like, we're so happy for you that you're having this moment. And we're glad that we've been on this ride with you. And that's what the longtime fans feel that.
But at the same time, we were going to Salt Lake City and Boise and playing to 18 people, man. Like, no joke, like, I mean, I'm talking about prior to Name,
Right. Like, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It was by no means a surefire with this group, after Name happened, there was definitely people there more. And then of course, after Iris happened, then, that's when we got so busy that, like people ask you sometimes, like, what is it like, when you have like a song as big as Iris? And like, I can't even tell you what it was like. We were so busy.
Yeah.
It was like all I was looking for was a minute to like breathe, during that time. Really, we were doing, once again, this is something that, and I'm sure people still do it, but I know not as much as they used to. We would leave a gig, 1 o'clock in the morning. We'd pull into a parking lot at a Days Inn somewhere at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be somebody from Warner Brothers sitting there in the parking lot in their car, and we'd come off the bus and brush our teeth on the bus and grab our guitars. And at the time, Iris would getting played, name it too, to a degree, was getting played on 7-8 stations in town sometimes.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. And like, the way we grew up, man, we're like, they want us there, let's go. So we would literally do 6-7 radio stations sometimes in a day prior to getting to the gig. And so it was, it was crazy, but once again, that's it's a horrible, it's a first world problem.
Yeah. I know that part from when you came to Jersey, and our radio station always was like, we're presenting the Goo Goo Dolls. So the first time we couldn't present it because it was like, okay, yeah, every station in the market's playing it. All the New York stations are playing it. We're at the Birch Hill, which is Old Bridge, New Jersey, which is about 40 minutes outside of New York. So this became a turf war, for lack of a better term. But I give all the props to these guys, because I had got the chance. You're introducing us. I don't know what. Yeah, and your manager's like, you can't mention your station. I'm like, okay, no problem. So I kept it very neutral. You come out for the encore. Both of you going, hey, Rob, by the way, he's been with us since day one.
Yeah.
We thank him and the people he works with for everything they've done. I knew you couldn't say the station, but everybody knew. It was that was it.
Drive out to that weird little house out in the woods, man.
Yeah. When you first arrived, I should mention WHCG FM 106.3, this little house in the neighborhood in Eatontown, New Jersey. You arrived there the first time back in the day. I mean, what are you thinking? Like, going, what the hell have we walked into?
We walked in there not believing that anyone would play our radio, our songs on regular radio.
Right.
Quite honestly, you guys are so early on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were playing, like Only One and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were back there you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And a million, and you're covering a million miles away. Yeah.
Yeah, really early. You know, so I mean, we were just thrilled you guys were talking to us, and the fact that you would let us be on for an hour, we were like, get out of here, man. But Matt's, always, he's proven to be a
Matt Pinfield, really
friend over the years.
He really went the distance for you guys, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Robby Takac is here on the A Game. If I were to go back to right around time, I guess Iris is, and I'm at a different radio station. This is the second story I had to share. I come up, and one of your representatives from Warner Brothers had seen me at my new job in the Lehigh Valley, and they see this photo on the wall, and I'm like, what are you staring at? I'm like, going, that does not look like a staged photo of you and John. And I should explain, I lost this photo a long time ago, and I'm sad about it, but I'm on a payphone. Yes, they had these things called payphones, kids. Johnny has got, and I know Johnny's changed over the years, but like I said, back in the day, we raged a little bit. So Johnny and I are not in any condition, and he's leaning on me. I'm leaning on the payphone, and somebody said, John, Rob. And I went, what? I go out. The only thing I remember is I'm trying to find us a cab. We're in New York, trying to find us a cab. So I always had that on my wall in my office. So here's the Warner Brothers rep saying, hey, listen, I want you to go out to Hershey, go out to the show with the Goos, and I want to surprise them. So I said, I'm going on the line. I'm like, here you are along the bus, and you're like, hi, oh my God. John jumps on my back and goes, it's Rob fucking Heckenport. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, which was funny. But it brings me to the second part of the surprise. I meet this woman who I believe is now your wife, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I thought for sure I met your wife back.
Very well could be. She started traveling with us right as Dizzy came out.
So I think I did.
Right as Dizzy came out. Yeah, she was here from Japan and ended up staying. She's still here now.
Yeah, no. I kind of knew, not that it was said, but I kind of knew, and I'm like, you were so happy, and I'm sitting there going, good for him, good for him.
We're in Buffalo now, man. I don't think she ever expected that.
Yeah, I was about to say, what was Miyoko's first take of Buffalo winter?
Well, we didn't live here. We lived in LA for 10 years,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, but as we were as we were talking about having a baby, my family's here. So it's just made more sense.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, can I get photo number 5 up here? Speaking of his family,
Hey,
that is a great photo, by the way. It really is. And the little one now is not so little.
No. She's Minecrafting and man. Dua Lipa and
Dua Lipa. You're with it, Robby. You know what's hot. That's good. You ever think you'd be like doing an interview going, I just said Dua Lipa in an interview. Oh my God.
No, you know what's funny? She sang Iris on TikTok. She did.
I gotta find that. I did not realize that.
Lizzo did. Man, tons of it's crazy. Every once in a while, somebody does that. Like some actor,
right?
Like Lizzo, or somebody sings something. Or dances to one of your songs, and all of a sudden it's you get 7 million impressions,
and you're just
happened. Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, we just suddenly got 1 million new fans. What?
Well, it happens every once in a while too. Our social media numbers will go to, when did it change from it was it's social media? Didn't it used to be social, what was it? Social something else before.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we can see the numbers in Indonesia will go to number 2. It'll be our number 2 market will be okay, what just happened?
Right.
About some kid covered Iris or something, on a TV show, or at least 7 or 8 times Britain's Got Talent.
Well, it's covered one of your songs.
Yeah. And all of a sudden it just goes to number 2 on iTunes or something in Britain. It's crazy. So
do you get a kick out of the fact that you're seeing these younger artists, pick up on what you've been doing and do these covers like they do?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch, man. We're seeing a lot of, third generations coming to the shows now. It's moms with their daughters, and their kids, with them. It's crazy. But
you meet the fans, and all of a sudden, here's my daughter and here's my grandson.
Yeah, but it's beautiful in a way. I mean, we've heard from an awful lot of people, that it's the only thing. It's one of the only things they, still share with their older kids. They still, can come to a show together and watch us play. They have 3-4 special bands in their lives, that they still share. So it's awesome to be kind of in that world.
That's cool. Very cool stuff. Robby Takac here on the A Game. Couple things before I get to my random shot segment. There are 2 sides of Robby that not everybody knows. One is the record executive that he is. Give me photo number 9, if you would. And Good Caramel Records is his label. He has a very well-known band from overseas called Shona Knife, who I've known since about the 90s. I mean, that was a nice signing. How did you hook up with them?
We've been friends with them for many years. They've been on the label now for, over 10 years.
Yeah, wow.
Long time. I think 2007 was the first record, I think, that we released by them. We had I first opened a label. It's funny. This is the building I actually started it in.
That wild. Okay.
Yeah. We had a little label that I was releasing local Buffalo band records for, which I figured out was a really easy way to get everyone to hate you.
If I can add this doesn't surprise me, because back in the day, Robby hosted the local Buffalo music show on a station called The Edge in Buffalo.
Yeah, I do a lot of those kind of things.
Yeah, you did for many years, I remember.
Yeah, but I had a label here, and and a band called the Juliet Dagger was one of the bands that we had on the label, and a really cool kind of girl punk band. And they were going to do a little trip over in Japan, shows, and so we sent them over there. And while they were over there, I just randomly reached out to Shonen Knife. Kind of pre-internet, like, I mean, we were on the internet a little, but we ended up getting a hold of them through some people we knew. And we said, our band's going to be over there, and we'd love if Naoko sang on a song with her. So we sent them the early records, and they agreed, and they went over and recorded a song together. And it was cool. It was fun. And it turned out really well. You can see it. It's called, well, anyway, but we, so at the time, we released it, and the Juliet Dagger went out on a tour with them in the United States here. They toured around the US, so we got to know them through that. And their management dissolved. Shonen Knife's management dissolved, and they really didn't know anybody here in the United States, so, which is odd. They've been a band for so long, but they really know too many people. So they reached out to me and they said, "Would you like to put a record out?" And I was about to shut my label down because I owned a studio here, which, as you see here,
as you can see,
studio.
Ethan, can you get a wide shot on that so we can get more, just so we can see Robby's studio? Yeah, there we go. There it is. There's the wide shot. There you go.
Anyway, I had a studio here in town. I was trying to record bands, and bands were getting angry at me because I wasn't signing their band. So I was about to shut the label down, and I decided to put out a Shonen Knife record, and did pretty well. And I did a tour for them over here, and the tour did great. And I put it together in the spirit of pre Iris Goo Goo Dolls. And I knew how to get around the country on a dime, and which you can't do anymore, really, unfortunately. Yeah, but I was able to help them out. And now I think I've released probably 11 records by them, 10 records by them by this point. And a lot. And I've done a couple of DVDs and many tours. My wife tour manages for them, and it's been great. And over the years, I've signed about 4 or 5 other bands, Japanese bands, and we've released records from them. Through COVID, we kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, like everybody did, sure.
Well, the bands couldn't come over here for a long time until the protocols changed. So, now all their visas are run out, so we got to start all over again with them. But we'll get back into it again.
What's it like exercising that muscle? Because it's still an artistic impression. You're not on stage playing, but you're actually physically taking the reins on a band and releasing an album and doing all the things that you had other people do for you guys. So but it was also stuff that we always did for ourselves even before that. Right.
Like a lot of this stuff is stuff that, I did. And, you talk about exercising that muscle, like, I think that's a lot about what it is. Like, I've been with Goo Goo Dolls now almost 40 years, so I know where my lane is here, like I've had a long time to figure that out, and, we have manager, and we have a tour manager, and we have a production manager, and we have a booking agent. We have a law firm and an accountant, and, I could just go on and on. It's like, all these people all take care of things. We have a day-to-day guy, we have a publicist, we have, a promotions person, all these people are working every day. And so, we're just about writing songs and going out and doing great shows and, just trying to keep an eye on stuff. So there's a lot of lanes that I love to be in that I don't necessarily need to be in with this. So, through, being a recording studio owner, through, having a not-for-profit here in Buffalo that I help.
As if I know correctly, Ethan, photo number 7, to give it some props. It's called Music is Art. It celebrated its 20th anniversary. By the way, great. That's a great artwork that's going on right there.
Yeah, we had 27 stages this year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's all local bands and artists and performance artists and circus acts and skateboarders and wrestlers and hippies and zombies and just a chess club and 13 DJ stages. It's just crazy, man. Yeah, like dancers, like, and the Western New York community here where we live just kind of comes together for it. It's an all-day free event. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But like I said, it gives me a chance to exercise a lot of muscles, and have fun, and that's what life's about, ain't it?
You know what? I'm going to prove that you are about fun, and that you're right. It is what life is all about. On my random shot segment, what I normally do is do a deep dive and ask questions, but I've already asked a couple of deep questions on Robby. I know he's got photos that prove the point about embracing life and having some fun. And I'm going to start with photo number 11, and I'm happy with this photo. I want it autographed, and I want it for the holidays. Ethan, photo 11, please.
That's a good one.
That is so awesome, by the way. Whose idea was? I gotta assume it was you.
I don't know.
But that's like, I want you to send in the mail going, Rob, have a wonderful holiday with love from the Takacs. I'm like, oh God, that is just, I saw that and I just smiled. And it represents what you just said about embracing life and having some fun, because that just seems like there it is. In one photo, it proves that point. It really does, Robby.
Yeah. That might have been through, over COVID, actually. I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Funny.
That's a good way to communicate with everybody.
Yeah, we did a video with the whole family. We played, I think it was Jingle Bells on Little Sleigh Bells.
Oh.
Yeah. Find it online somewhere.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to find that. Give me photo number 12. I mean, you've had some interesting things happen in your career. When you see something like this on this big building, where do you rank that amongst things where it's like, okay, in my career with the Goo Goo Dolls, this is in like our top 10 things that have happened in my career, or wherever you want to put it?
I don't know. It was pretty cool. We played down there. We actually did something cooler in that space. We played down there on the Millennia.
Ooh.
Millennium.
Whatever
it is.
Millennia.
Yeah, we played down there as the calendar flipped into 2000 with it down at MTV. Yeah, so that was probably my biggest event that happened down in Times Square, other than getting mugged back in the late 80s. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I didn't want to bring this up, but since you mentioned mugging, at one point the Goos were supposed to play a charity show for us, and unfortunately, one of you guys got mugged. I heard, and then
that was probably me.
Yeah, you got mugged, and then unfortunately, you couldn't do the show, and we were just like, "Oh my God, is he all right? Is he okay?" And I'm like, "On, yeah, I think it was early 90s."
Yeah, that was not good.
No, we are not going to relive it, but I just, God, all our hearts and prayers were going out to you at that point, going, son of a. Shots of Robby Takac. Okay, give me photo number 13. Let's do a Buffalo thing.
That was that's Josh Allen there.
Yes, the elite quarterback.
He's not doing so well this year.
No, I was about to ask you, as a Buffalo fan, which I know you are, I mean, is this starting to get frustrating now or not?
I'm actually not a huge football fan, quite honestly, but that's probably why. Because it's a frustrating prospect when you live in this town.
Yeah, I mean, because you were still up there when they had the 4 straight Super Bowls that they were in. I mean, I
don't recall that.
Okay. I was about to ask you, what was Buffalo like during those 4 years? But you know what? Oh yeah, that's right. We were. Unfortunately, we're all going crazy and partying.
I believe the domestic violence rates probably and alcoholism rates probably raised. I'm not proud of that. I'm just saying. I would imagine there was some. We're
just saying. We're not encouraging it.
No, of course not.
No, of course not. Exactly. Thank you very much. All right, I know I got one more photo. Yeah, give me photo number 6 here in random shots. This is a good random shot. Now, it seems like a normal photo of Robby just playing in concert, but I want people to pay attention to his feet.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what's it like playing barefoot on a stage? I'd be scared to death to have nothing on my feet playing.
I don't know. You tell me what it's like to be on stage with shoes on. I don't know that.
Yeah, good point. When did that start for you, the barefoot thing? Do you remember?
I don't know.
It's just one of those things.
I don't know. I can't remember, but is what it is now, right?
It's just part of your life at this point, brother.
I wear socks now. When I turned 50, I decided at indoor shows I would wear socks because you know,
yeah,
out of respect.
Speaking of your age, not that I want to give it away, but your birthday was last month, so happy birthday to you.
59, I turned.
Yeah, I was about to say the landmark is next year. If you could celebrate number 60, how would you want to celebrate next year?
Alive.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Low key, just being alive.
I'm
with my wife and my kid, and everything is wonderful.
Alive, happy. This year we did the last date of the Big Night Out tour was in Guilford, New Hampshire on my birthday.
Yeah, I saw the photo.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah, you were touring with OAR this year, and you guys did a cover together, which I thought came out really good. What brought that on, doing the Petty cover?
John's friends with Mark, and they work in the same studio in New York with a friend of ours named Greg Wattenberg, who's a producer. And so they just got to talking, and we had always kind of wanted to do it,
right?
Because we know that our crowds were similar but different enough to where it probably meant that they would be some good crowds, and it was great. Yeah.
Definitely. Want to bring up two more things as we're getting to wrap up here. Live at the Academy 1995 is now available. Yeah, put photo number 3 up one more time there, Ethan. So you can download this. It is a...
That was my dog. You see that picture on the front? That's my dog, Penny. There.
Oh, man. Yeah. There you go. Yes, they were young. Yes, they were loud. But the good thing about it is there's some interesting things that you want to get this for. 2 renditions of NXS's Don't Change.
Hey, can you put that picture back up again?
Yeah, let's put up number 3 again. Yeah, go ahead. What do you got, Robbie?
I will tell you one thing about what's going on here.
Okay.
We must have had some money already because there's 2 marshals sitting behind you.
The team knowing why all of a sudden, hey, we're starting to make it. Oh my God.
So we must have gotten some money by that point because we certainly weren't playing 2 marshals at the very, very beginning. So I have a feeling we probably got some money by that point. Anyway.
Well said. I'm a huge fan of NXS, so I mean, God bless Michael Hutchings, but I mean, it's interesting. You got the sound check version, which is a little sweeter, but it's like you take Don't Change and gave it the Goo Goo Dolls treatment and made it your own. So that's another reason why you want to get this. There's some real rare cuts that they did during that concert that you're going to love, especially if you're a fan of the Goo Goo Dolls. You're going to love it.
Yeah, that was fun, man. I'm glad that existed, man. There's a few other ones out there too that are maybe we'll release, at some point down the line, but some pretty classic moments. There's a CBGB's performance that we had, from when we were from 10 years before that one, So
yeah, Robbie was 14 when he was.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's not great. It's not great, but I think just the document of kind of what it is is pretty exciting. We also have we did a Dizzy Up the Girl anniversary tour, 25th anniversary tour, which we recorded and mixed. Oh, nice. And that's just sitting in a vault right now. I'm not quite sure what we're doing with that either. So that'll probably see the light of day at some point too. So
right now, out on the light of day was a song they released about 3-4 months ago. Run All Night is the newest song from the Goo Goo Dolls, a really sweet song, great arrangements. Hopefully that will be no, Ethan's like going, I had the video ready, but I'm like going, wait a minute, Warner Brothers will flag me on this, so don't time out. But I am going to make people aware of it, and hopefully it'll be another one of the repertoire of the Goo Goo Dolls that'll be all over the radio again. I mean,
yeah. There's a cool like animated video.
Yes,
that I'm spacing on the name, but a really cool video artist did for us, and yeah, it's a cool song, man. It's amazing. You release music now. It used to be you'd put a song out And 3 months later, you'd be pulling into a place and going, man, I hope people know this song. I know it's been months, but it had to get on the radio, and hopefully, people like bought the album and like just didn't skip through it. And, maybe, small amount of the people would know it. Like, but now it's like you release a song, you pull in, you can release it as long as they had time to listen to it on the drive in.
Yeah,
they know that new song, man. It's crazy. It's like,
yeah. Do you think we've become a culture now? It's not about albums anymore. Which is kind of sad because we grew up as people who wanted to listen to a whole album. Your favorite artist, you wanted to get the album, you wanted to feel the album, you wanted to make sure, hey, I don't want to miss a track. I want to get my opinion on it. Now it's a matter of, if you got a new song, just release it.
Yeah, part of me still feels like that's the thing to do. It's time, go in, record a bunch of songs, put them out, and it lets people experience what you're doing,
right?
I don't know, it's sort of like a deeper level. I feel like, you're not just trying to like wow them with every song you're putting on. Sometimes songs are on a record not because you want them to be hit songs, just because they're cool songs.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I know your music, and I can pretty much tell. It's like going, they recorded this one because they felt it was a cool song.
I think
the audience gets it great, but
I think you want every song to be a hit song, but I don't think they can be, and I think that, so I think, a song at a time, when you look at things from that perspective, quite often you're just trying to knock people over the head every time. And I think you lose some of the subtleties of what the band is, because every song's not going to knock you over the head,
No, and I would think that would probably be the worst way for you guys to write songs, because you get a string of hits, you have this great library of music, but if you go in there and go, oh God, we got to write another hit, oh my God, we got to write another hit, how is the creative process going to work for you guys? I would think it wouldn't.
Yeah, but on the other hand, as I mentioned, we can release a song, and a day later, there's just 1,000 people singing it back to us.
Which is a nice feeling. Absolutely,
that's pretty amazing. We have like a lot of studios in our complex here, so we're we have a lot of hip hop groups that come through here, and and the kids like rent like an hour, and they master it. We send it to their phone, and dude, as God is my witness, they're uploading this stuff for release as they're walking out the door.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't been 15 minutes since they did it. They have a little graphic ready, and they just okay. It's nuts.
This may be the perfect last question, Dan. If you had that technology back when you guys were starting out, do you think it would have been a different playing field for you guys early on? Because like you said, Critics Darlings, worked your way to name. Maybe having the technology may have made it a little different on how you would have approached your success.
I would have had to known how to speak DOS and Fortran. Yeah.
Well said,
right? I think we had those channels, but they were in record stores, and they were in clubs, and they were in rec centers, and they were in rehearsal spaces, and they were in recording studios, and in bars, and colleges, and like all these things happened, but I guess not from the safety of your dorm room or whatever people do now. I think I think we were active in all the same stuff. Oh, I think that there was a lot more. I think there was two more things. There were a lot more anonymity back then.
Yes, true.
Which I don't know if that's great or bad, because you sometimes have to overcome that anonymity, But at the same time, I think that anonymity allows you to sort of become something. Like before, like the minute something is discovered, like when it's online, right? The minute something gets discovered, it's there for everyone, right?
Yes, that's true.
But it's also old super fast, right? Like if you put something out and you put it online and it's out there for people, little by little they'll get it. Like if you wrote a song and you had a little hit in Buffalo, the chances are most people in the rest of the world have not heard that song.
Right.
It's not like that anymore. It's like, people are trying to get big on a national, international level.
That's very true.
Like back then, our social media pipeline was here in Buffalo. Like, we were the biggest fucking band in Buffalo for a minute. I can guarantee you that, because we made sure of it, because we could do that. Like, we
Right.
did that, and that allowed us to get outside of that and discover other things that were kind of outside. But like, the game wasn't about just being the biggest band in the world. Like, that's what it is, right? That's what the game is right now.
Really
Yeah, that's what the game is. Like, you put your stuff out, and hopefully you're within a year you're the biggest band in the world. You get 22 million plays on TikTok, and Warner Brothers signs you.
Mm-hmm. That is a game changer. It really is.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, now, like people laughed, like Warner Brothers was I remember when Warner Brothers was first here's a funny story. I know you're trying to wrap up, but
no problem.
I remember one time a Warner Brothers executive, who will name nameless,
Fair
signed a incredibly famous person who was famous for being famous, and
I
so
know where you're going with that, by the way.
so as she was sitting with her contract,
Right,
and a bigger contract as anyone at Warner's was getting at the time, maybe bigger,
that's kind of sick.
she put her pen to the page and looked up at him and said, "You realize I can't sing, right?" That's a true story.
This person nameless, and I have figured out where you're going with this. It's smart enough, but I'm like going, you hear stories like this, and you go, "No, that can't be true," and you're going, "Oh my God, it is."
No, that's really true. That's really true. And but like, that is like when people first started getting signed off of TikTok, like, that's what it was, like it was just these people who are getting famous for nothing, and kind of trying to figure out a way, like, how do we do something with these people? But now, like, you're starting to hear songs that, like, are real songs, that,
which is
like,
a good thing, absolutely.
that like worked, so this silly thing for kids sort of, became something that, people are figuring out a way to discover some cool new music on. So I don't know, man, stuff keeps growing. My band certainly has had a second life in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Because of that type of thing too. So, I mean, things are going to keep changing and keep morphing, but good song's still a good song, I think.
Well, yeah, and I think that the bottom line is, with the material you have, there's going to be a few songs that will live way beyond any of our years, that even 50 years from now.
Well, I just hope people want to keep coming to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Goos will be back on the road. There, you guys are usually on the road every year for a little while, so.
Yeah, we're going. We do New Zealand and Australia coming up, and then we'll go to India, and shortly after that, and no, actually India prior to that. Actually, we go to India, then we go to Australia, New Zealand, and I actually just found out today that we just signed a deal for another big international trip, but I can't talk about it yet.
No problem. Well, I'm sure you'll release that. Follow him on his social medias to find out more about that. And by the way, the next time you're in Jersey, and now that I've known for a while that John's now living in Jersey, it's like, for God's sake, it's like, just invite me over. I'll bring the ribs. Just let me start barbecuing, and we'll have some fun. For God's
All right, sounds good.
Robby, thank you so much for your time. Some great stories.
Absolutely, brother. Good luck with your thing there.
Thank you very much. It's a wrap for the A Game this week, and we'll be
soon.
back next week, and I'll catch you soon too, Robby. Have a great week ahead. Take care.
Bye-bye.